I think Abby is going to help move us along with moving the slides, and we are going to record this. We know we've got some members of the green teams that are not able to join us on this call today. We know we've got some people that can't stay for the whole time. Abby and I are going to be available for this call for an hour and a half. We may find that we don't need that long, but we're committed to that time if we need it. So again, my name is Sarah Macias. I serve as one of the co-directors for Green Seminary Initiative, along with Abby Mohawk, who's co-director with me. And while you're looking at the mission for the Green Seminary Initiative, I would ask that when you're not speaking, go ahead and mute your lines, and that will allow us to get a good quality recording that we can share with everyone after this call. Fletcher Harper is also on the call with us today, and he is, of course, the Executive Director of GreenFaith. And it's through our relationship with GreenFaith that we're able to offer this certification program. It's a program that we're very excited about, and I think we all recognize that it comes at a critical time. So we're grateful for the commitment that each of your schools are bringing to this process, and would like Fletcher to kind of offer a word of welcome from GreenFaith.
Well, thanks a million, Sarah and Abby, and many, many thanks to all of you on the call. It's great to see you and to be working with you, and you're in extraordinarily good hands with Abby and Sarah. They are really doing a fantastic job helping support frankly, the hard work and the very real work that this program represents. And I think the thing that I'll say in terms of offering up a context is that in the wake of last week's decision by President Trump to begin the process of withdrawing the U.S. from the Paris Climate Agreement, and even before then, the science could not have been clearer that we have some very, very substantial work ahead to do in terms of being able to prevent a level of suffering and environmental devastation that is really, really frightening. And the job that we face is not just to make tweaks around the margins of how we operate our faith communities and how we shape our beliefs accordingly, but rather is truly fundamental. And so I know, like all of you, that I feel too busy, that I am got lots of stuff on my plate, and that the last thing I need is another person telling me about how things have to change on a massive scale. But here we are, and we're in this together. We know that we've got very real changes that we have to make. The only way that we'll get those done is by working together as a community, committed to supporting each other, to challenging each other, to really being ambitious in the best of ways to make the kinds of changes that we can and that we need to make. So we feel privileged to work with you. I feel certainly very grateful for Abby and Sarah and the guidance and the commitment and the support that they're sharing. And I'm looking forward to working together and making this the kind of initiative that faith communities and the world desperately, desperately need. So many thanks. And Sarah, thanks for the chance to pipe in just for a few minutes.
You bet. Thanks, Fletcher. And I know that you're going to need to leave at a certain point. So we're grateful for you being on the call for as long as you're able to.
Yep.
So.
Yep. No, I'm afraid I'll sign off right now just because I'm on one of those horrible deadlines that afflict many of us. So I'll sign off now, but I'll look forward to being in touch on an ongoing basis with folks in the various schools.
Thanks, Fletcher. And thanks for all you've done to get us to this point. Yep. Today, like I said earlier, the main priority that we've identified is for us to get to know each other. When Laurel Kearns gets on the call in a few minutes, I'm going to ask her to give kind of a history of the Green Seminary Initiative, because even though the certification program is new, the Green Seminary Initiative has been around for a while, so for about 10 years. So Laurel, of course, is faculty member at Drew Theological School. So she's not only the co-founder of Green Seminary Initiative, but she's one of the leaders of the Green teams in this particular cohort. So that's a wonderful fact. So we want to, very shortly, we want to give each of your schools that are represented on this call, 5 or so minutes to tell us about your school, tell us why you're interested in participating in this program, why you've made this commitment, what you're hoping for, and what you may have to offer to the rest of the cohort. This is not an individual school process, but these are schools working together and learning from each other and sharing ideas. So we want to facilitate those conversations between schools. We'll also go over the certification process itself, make sure that you understand what the steps are ahead, particularly in this first stage, which will include the comprehensive internal audit. We'll talk about that. You've already received some materials that you'll be using in the future months. The process is a 3-year process, and we've identified July 1st as when we say go. Although I think some of you have already done some work, and that's fabulous. But we'll start the clock, if you will, July 1st. So we'll go over the steps ahead and make sure that everybody's on the same page as far as what all's involved. And then at the end, we'll have a Q&A about anything related to the process. You have a copy of the certification standards, but we're not going to go through each of the standards step by step. We're going to let you read those on your own, but if you have any questions already about any of the standards, we're glad to use this time to touch on the standards that are set up as requirements and electives, which should be very familiar language to all of us on this call. So we'll provide some space to talk about anything that we've already touched on the call, or anything that has to do with the certification process that we haven't already brought into the conversation. So, Abby, is Laurel on the call yet? Then we'll come back to kind of a history that I wanted to give Laurel an opportunity to.
I am.
Laurel, are you there?
Yeah.
Wonderful.
My apologies. I was in the middle of writing about religious environmentalism.
Well, awesome.
Can you all see me?
No, but we've got your picture along with Beth's picture. Beth Norcross and Laurel Kearns are the co-founders for Green Seminary Initiative, and Beth is not on this call, but since Laurel was already going to be on the call as a member of the Drew Green team, it seemed an obvious opportunity for Laurel to give us, just 2 or 3 minutes as far as a history of Green Seminary Initiative and how we got here. Laurel, would you mind bringing us up to speed?
Not at all. The Green Seminary Initiative started in 2007 with a kickoff at the American Academy of Religion. And in that gathering, we had Rosemary Radford Ruther, Larry Rasmussen, Sally McFaig, Cal DeWitt, David Rhodes, and Norm Hobble, and John Cobb, I think, all talking about how important this work was. And in some ways, the Green Seminary Initiative picks up on the work of the Theological Education to Meet the Environmental Challenge organization that was active in the 90s and in fact shaped many of us who were just coming into the field. One of the things that precipitated its founding is the recognition that in many schools, any kind of ecological focus is person dependent. In other words, when someone leaves the school's focus on that often leaves with them. And we had sort of noticed that with retirement of people like Rosemary Radford Ruther, Sally McFaig, Larry Rasmussen, that those schools didn't continue the focus in the same ways they'd had when those individuals were there. So we, Beth Norcross, David Rhodes, who was at Lutheran School of Theology in Chicago and was doing a lot of work already there with the Web of Creation, the three of us decided it was time to reinvigorate efforts to transform theological education, with the notion that if we aren't training tomorrow's religious leaders on this issue, on these issues, then we really are still training them for yesterday. That this is one of the issues that theological education needs to be preparing people for, because it's going to walk into their congregations and institutions and organizations, whether they expect it to or not. So that's a little bit on the founding. We did a lot of work of, and initially of being involved at the American Academy of Religion meetings, helping with some of the Friday afternoon religion and ecology related seminars. Those are still going on every Friday afternoon. Before AR, there's a great session. We helped plan some of the eco-justice tours. We certainly worked on the website and bringing together a lot of materials. And then we decided we got a grant to survey people as to what they considered would be most helpful. And it was out of those interviews that the idea of certification came, because time after time people said, we need help. I can't do this alone. It's overwhelming by myself. I don't want to reinvent the wheel. Can you connect me with other people? So that's the genesis of the certification program. And we are thrilled that it's up and running. Any other thoughts from Abby or Sarah that I missed?
No, that's great, Laurel. Thanks so much. And thanks for bringing Drew into this process with this cohort.
Thank you, Laurel.
I should say that it's been hosted by Drew Theological School for a long time. It started out at Lutheran School of Theology in Chicago. And then we more recently partnered with GreenFaith to bring the certification program to fruition.
Wonderful. That's very helpful. Now what we want to do is give each of your 5 teams an opportunity to tell us about your school, tell us who you are. I'm going to start with, we'll go in this order, just so that you know what's ahead. We'll go with Austin first, and then Claremont, then Garrett, then Pacific Lutheran, and we'll wind up with Drew. So in that order, again, when you're not speaking on the call, go ahead and keep your lines on mute. But from the Austin team, I know we've got Dave Jensen, academic dean, on the call. In fact, he was the first one, so we give him the prize for the first caller. We always like that. And Dave, tell us who is with you on the call from your team and what roles they play. We'd like to hear why Austin Presbyterian Theological Seminary joined this program and what you hope to accomplish.
Okay. So thank you, Sarah. So with me here this afternoon is Heather Stanzowitz, who's our Vice President for Finance and Administration, and John Everett, who's our Director of Facilities at the seminary. So I think there's a lot of reasons why the Green Seminary Initiative has been attractive to us in the certification program. We've got a critical mass of faculty who address environmental and ecological justice issues in the classroom. So that, hearing about the certification program dovetailed with a lot of faculty interest and student commitment. We've got a long tradition of worship services at the seminary that incorporate the outdoors. We recently installed a labyrinth on the campus, and we're physically located kind of in a gem in central Austin, where we're surrounded by the buzz of the University of Texas, and we're not far from the state capitol. But we have this unique campus that's bisected by a creek that's really kind of a bit of an urban oasis. So that's kind of unique to us. And in our recent building projects and redevelopment projects at the seminary, we've really tried to keep an eye on energy efficiency and LEED certification. And so that's an ongoing commitment for us. And so we see Green Seminary Initiative as being kind of an accountability structure that can help us, further aims that we've already been public about. And so we're excited to be a part of this cohort. Is there anything else that you all want to add to that? I think that kind of summarizes where we are.
Yeah.
And to add to that, we're in Texas. We are in Austin, but we're in Texas, and Texas needs some critical energy on some of these issues.
Amen. Great. John or Heather, anything y'all have to add?
No, we're really looking forward to your guidance and helping us relay the message that gets across the point that this is very important to our staff and our faculty and our students, and really looking forward to their help and their buy-in, and anxious to get started.
Good.
I would just add as I've thought about environmental issues at a seminary over the years, I struggle with the big items versus the little steps to move us forward. So we're not going to install a wind farm, but how can we uplift these little initiatives and show that they really are making a difference?
Great. And I show that other members of your green team, of course, you've got Allison, who works in the dean's office. Pam Owens is also on the team as director of HR. Eric Wall is one of your new faculty members. And what is it that Eric teaches, David?
So he's sacred music, and he's also dean of the chapel.
Great. And then you've got a student, Madeline Hart Anderson.
Yes.
On the team. Wonderful.
And then Bill Greenway has been chairing so Bill teaches philosophical theology and environmental ethics.
Don't tell Bill that I overlooked him.
I won't.
One thing I would say is
that you went to Austin, and so
well,
with Austin.
Full disclosure, my two alma maters are a part of this cohort, so I have a particular affection for this cohort. But we're grateful to all of the members of this team and all the teams for the 3-year commitment that you're making. It is a real commitment. We understand that students come and go. And so when Madeline graduates, be great to have someone fill that student role and to add people to the team along the way and let us know what names that we need to add so that we can stay in full communication with your entire team.
Good.
That's great. Any questions for Austin before we move on to Claremont? Okay. Looks like Philip Clayton is on the call with us, and Kristen and Megan, I believe. Philip?
Right. Well, let me just say that the real visionaries behind this movement are Kristen and Megan. Pablo is also not able to be on this call. He's biking San Francisco at this moment. And so, except to say that we have had a Center for Spirituality and Sustainability for 10 years. It's been a part of the vision of CST, but we haven't taken concrete action until we heard about your possibility. And Kristen agreed to jump in and as the executive director of the center and to spearhead the work, which means she'll get the rest of us to keep moving. So let me turn to Kristen to share, and then Megan will say whatever she wants afterwards. And I can close from a more administrative perspective.
Thanks, Philip. Yeah, I would say why we're excited about this program is the structure and accountability it provides. It's really needed in this time, in this transition. It's an interesting time in higher education with theological schools and how do we move forward. So just the credibility that this is going to provide for us and the alliances and partnerships and idea sharing, I would say is what we're really excited about. Like Philip said, we recently reestablished the Center for Spirituality and Sustainability. And really what we want to see is theory and application, just really hunkering down, not necessarily with idea sharing, but in Southern California, how can we be a space to, the good thing is in Claremont, we have this city that is very ecologically minded, and those partnerships need to come together more. There's conversations that happen a lot, but in terms of what that looks like in the applied sense, I'm excited to kind of get that wheel going. So a few things that we're have already in the wheelhouse at Claremont. Of course, we have the Process Center and John Cobb and the history there. Philip is very active with an organization that's partnering with Claremont called Ecological Civilization, which I'm sure he'll mention. And then, like I said, this new center, we actually have a pretty consistent contingent of students that come in that are doing their dissertations on ecology and religion, that are interested in, labor practices, justice, food issues. So there's been a cry for the last few years, and I've just been sitting here nodding in terms of students going in and out the door who have tried to start gardens or tried to do XYZ, and as soon as that student graduates, it's gone. So hopefully by reestablishing this center and getting it back going, we have already, in the plans, websites take a lot to run, as we all know, but getting an ecological liturgy project up and running. Currently, we're working on a grant. We're trying to get funding for just the San Gabriel Valley is the area of California that we're in, and churches have a lot of land in this area, even though we're very urban. So we're currently seeking grants to partner with, and I shouldn't just say churches, congregations, mosques, temples, to try to put community gardens in these spaces and see what that would look like and how that influences not only faith communities, but neighborhood engagement as well. So that's kind of my current big projects right now. So that's Claremont right now.
Sweet. Megan, do you want to jump in and tell them some of the hats you wear and what brings you to work together with us? You'll have to unmute yourself, though, as you can probably see.
There we go. Why are you not?
There you go.
Okay, good. Yeah, so I'm going to be a second-year student this coming year, and really been interested in ecological work throughout my life, and especially through Clayton's class. And I also work for an organization called the Interfaith Observer, which is an online interfaith journal, and that's a big thing I bring to this project as well. Kind of like Kristen said, we want to partner with different religious organizations, because really the ecological movement it has to be a global movement if we're going to really make an impact. In Claremont, with the interreligious mission it has, I think we really need to tap into that sector. And the list of things that I kind of wrote down, Kristen all touched on in terms of things that we want to do. It would be great to start some gardening on campus, some compost. Like she said, there's been a lot of conversation, but not a lot of action. I'm excited to actually get something going.
In some ways, I think we're like Drew. We have a faculty that's very conscious of these issues, that cares, that speaks, does writing and speaking on these. But we haven't actually turned that into an explicit statement of our self-identity in light of ecological concerns. I think what spurred us forward was this huge conference that John Cobb organized in 2015. I think a number of you were there. It was called Seizing an Alternative Toward an Ecological Civilization. When 1,500 people came from around the world to be at Claremont for these 3 days and launched 82 different research groups, many of our faculty were involved. As the dust began to settle from this, well, it took us 5 years to organize it. As the dust began to settle, then we looked at ourselves and said, well, how are we as a seminary corporately representing these values? And I think that's the point where it became clear we needed to do something. Those of us involved formed two nonprofits, pandopopulist.com and ecociv.org. And then as I began to work with Kristen, who's a doctoral student completing her work on a thesis in this area, it seemed like she would bring momentum and leadership and had fresh ideas. And Megan then comes with her background in interfaith work, and now Pablo and others. So it's been a good window. It's been a good mirror, I think, to have us identify how deep is our commitment and what are we going to concretely do about it. I don't know if I speak for any of the other organizations, but I worry about the process. You know, are buildings too old? Do we drive too far to school? You know, can we find the hours to do the steps that are necessary? So I want to be upfront about those concerns. On the other hand, our heart's in the right place, so we'll do our best we can. Thanks.
Excellent. Thanks, Philip. We're so thrilled that Claremont is a part of this cohort. Any questions or comments for Claremont?
I'm just thrilled from the other coast to be working with Claremont. There's a long connection between the schools, and I'm thrilled that we're going to be going through this together. But I can say that for almost every school that's in here, how thrilled I mean, I know I can say it for every school.
But it is wonderful to have both coasts represented, as well as a couple of schools in the central part of the country. So right now, let's hear from Garrett, Evangelical.
Before Garrett goes, I just want to say, Philip, that your concern about not having enough time, and I would just say that that's a pretty universal fear that we saw in the pilot cohort, and so you're in good company.
Good.
Absolutely. Tim Eberhardt and looks like Liz Lawanga are with us from Garrett Evangelical.
Yeah, I'll start, and I can have Liz fill in. So I teach associate or assistant professor of theology and ecology, and have been at Garrett Evangelical since 2010 in a variety of different portfolio configurations, the last one being a 3-year joint faculty position with Garrett Evangelical and the Methodist Theological School in Ohio. So I've spent quite a bit of time thinking across both of these two institutions, was quite involved in the farm and other initiatives that emerged at MTSO, but I'm now shifting focus back full-time to Garrett Evangelical starting this year. I'm also going on a sabbatical this fall, so I'll be looking forward to engaging where I can, but also having a bit of a pause for the first time in quite a while for research and writing. As many of you know, with Rosemary Radford Ruther's history at Garrett Evangelical, environmental justice, ecological theology questions have been central for a long time. At present, I'm the primary faculty person teaching in these areas, teach an ecological theology course, an environmental ethics course, a food, faith, and justice course, economy, ecology, and ecumenism or globalization course. Took a 2-week trip to Chiapas, Mexico this January that I will probably teach again, focused on issues of indigenous rights, globalization, anti-neoliberalism, etc. And a couple other courses that intersect with these concerns. We've been members of the Seminary Stewardship Alliance. We were founding members, I believe, in 2012, and we'll continue that partnership. But the GSI partnership seemed equally important, if not more important, to us in terms of, hi Audrey, increasing our peer network in trying to integrate these commitments throughout the life of the institution. So we've begun to do some work on our own through the SSA related to kind of the key areas of integration of these commitments, but it it really seemed clear to me in particular that the GSI would be giving us an additional set of resources to help us really succeed here. And so we're looking forward to that. We've got several major initiatives here, including fundraising for faculty position, endowed chair, for endowed student scholarships, for an eco cohort, monies to go toward the greening of the campus, and then for a center for ecological regeneration. And we're just kicking off fundraising for that, probably late summer, early fall. Liz, how about you jump in here in terms of any other work that I've missed so far?
I think that's most of what I can think of. Just from my position in all of this, up until about three and a half weeks ago, I was a student here. And then as of 2.5 weeks ago, I am now working in the president's office, full-time as a staff member. So I'm just getting my feet wet in all of this from the administrative side. And so I think just from my perspective, one of the things I'm excited about with this partnership is, as the folks from Austin mentioned, the accountability structure to kind of put some things in place and give some kind of tangible goals to move forward to. So, but I think you've covered most everything I can think of.
Liz, this past year, as she was finishing her MTS thesis, also was our Sustain Gets associate, so worked about 10 hours a week in terms of helping us move forward on several of the initiatives. We've had several iterations of different student groups that have met over the last several years, whether that's going to the plant on the south side of Chicago or watching documentaries. We've done a variety of different things, and we'll continue to do that. The graduating class of this last year raised, the last I heard, Liz, it was probably close to $6,000-7,000 as a graduation gift to go toward a Kickstarter for a garden, a community garden in Evanston, not necessarily on campus, but in a particularly neglected part of town in West Evanston. And so we'll be looking forward to moving forward, probably with some kind of permaculture design with a garden in West Evanston. But those are probably the main points for us at this point. Glad to be part of this cohort.
Well, we're thrilled that you are. Any questions or comments for Garrett? And you'll be adding students to your green team in the fall, I understand, just from previous communication. So we'll look forward to adding some more team members in the coming months. Pacific Lutheran, looks like Heather Hayes and Taylor Hagbo,
yeah, either.
Got it. Both students that are on this green team are on the call. I know Cynthia Molobita is one of the faculty members that's a key player on this team, and she was disappointed that she had a conflict and is not able to join us on this call. Is there anyone else from your team, Heather or Taylor?
No, just the two of us.
Okay, great. Great. Well, tell us a little bit about PLTS.
Sure. So PLTS is definitely in a time of transition right now. For about 50 years, we've been on a campus on top of the Berkeley Hills, this really steep hill, Marin. We're now selling that property and moving to downtown Berkeley, and we're renting the second floor of city building office space. So our whole environment is definitely transitioning. We're also working on a curriculum review, and we're focusing on 4 areas, which would be the intersection of race, class, gender, and the earth. And so being a part of the Green Seminary Initiative is going to help us live into this identity of earth honoring and creation care. Hopefully, we're in Berkeley, California. It's this liberal bastion. A lot of movement towards greening and a focus on the environment. So we have a lot of people, organizations to partner with and work with, learn from. And we're also part of the Graduate Theological Union. So there are, I think, about 9 seminaries, and there's a Buddhist school and a Jewish institute and some other schools. We have opportunities for interfaith dialogue and ways to learn from other seminaries that are very close by. Heather?
Yeah, so I would add also that I woke up with a cold today, so my head's not on right. I would add that our faculty and the students at PLTS are really interested in the intersections of ecological issues and humanitarian issues as well. So that's something that we definitely want to focus on. We have a course that's taught by Dr. Cynthia Molabita called Earth Ethics as Justice Ethics. And the 3 students that are on the green team were all in that class this past semester. And so we really see that as an integral part of how we want to address the requirements for GSI. And specifically, we have another student who's not on this call who's really interested in Indigenous rights. So bringing that into the conversation and, including voices that are not our own. I think we have a pretty good awareness of the fact of our privilege as students at the school and living in Berkeley. And so we want to address that and make sure that other voices are being brought into the conversation who are not actually a part of our institution, but are from organizations that we can collaborate with in the community.
And I would just like to add one more thing, which is this photo on the screen is at California Lutheran University in their edible education garden. And about 3 years ago, California Lutheran merged with PLTS. So now they're sort of the umbrella organization. And that gives us a lot of opportunities to engage with their faculty and to learn from them and have support from CLU.
Yeah, we have a number of their faculty and staff on our green team as well. And they've introduced a number of initiatives on their campus that, as Taylor mentioned, we can definitely learn from.
Fabulous. Yes, some of the names that the other team members will recognize that are on this team by way of that merger is Lisa Dayhill, who's on this green team. There's also faculty member Sam Thomas, and they have a board member also on the green team. So when you look at the composition of your green teams, it may be that you have alumni that could play an important role and would enjoy playing a role. So board leadership as well. So looking at the opportunities within your larger community, keeping that in mind. And these teams can evolve as you add people on them. So just keeping us up to date with who your team membership is. Fabulous. Thanks for that. Thanks, Heather and Taylor.
Thank you.
Any questions or comments for the 2 of them?
Yeah, so the thing that I was going to say, one of the things that we are committed to in this cohort is to go and visit schools that are in the certification program. And Heather and Taylor, our visit will be pretty easy because when I'm not in coursework, I live about an hour south of Berkeley. So I'm really excited to come and visit.
Nice.
Awesome.
Hooray.
Another one that you will be able to visit, Abby, is Drew Theological School.
I know, that's going to be such an easy visit for me. I'm really excited.
Abby is a PhD student at Drew, and I think unless there's any more questions or comments for PLTS, I think we'll shift to the green team with Drew, and of course Laurel, who's already been on the call giving us a history lesson, is on the team, and looks like Kimberly Jordan is on the call also, and Sharon, so glad that you could join us. And Diego is a PhD student also at Drew, and he's on the green team and is on this call. Did I miss anybody, Laurel?
I think that's everyone I know of. Lots of folks wish they had been. And my apologies. I do a lot of these Zoom meetings. Never before have I had a problem with my camera. But somehow, despite Abby texting me hints, I have not figured out. I have it on start video, so forgive me for talking from the deep void here. I think it's obvious why Drew is participating. And we have a lot to build on. When I was hired in 1994, 3 faculty were already teaching about the earth and ecology. And so 2 of those faculty are going to be part of the green team, and that's Catherine Keller in theology and Heather Elkins in liturgy. We're thrilled that Reverend Dr. Kimberly Jordan is also on our team. She is the director of our chapel and has already just showed us wonderful, wonderful resources and liturgies and stuff to continue to help our students see how to include these issues in chapel. And we were lucky that the chaplain before Kimberly also did that. So we've had a long history in our chapel. I also am really thrilled that Sharon Williams is on our team. Having someone on the staff, Sharon is the administrative assistant who works with the faculty. Behavioral changes are often a big part of this, and we just had our energy audit last Friday. And of course, one of the things that comes up is just all the issues of windows getting left open, thermostats getting set. And Sharon, since she started at Drew, has just shown a lot of creativity and thoughtfulness in thinking about how we make our practices greener. And she comes with a background in environmental studies also. We have a great student group. 2 of the PhD students are on, but I think we've got 3 other students on the green team. And all of the students are involved in our Theo Community Garden, which has been great fun. But Tara has taken on a lot of other things, whether it's an environmental justice tour of Newark. They've done that several times over the years. And this past year, maybe I should let Diego or Abby mention what you've been working on, because I've been on leave. The other thing I just want to add real quickly is that we probably have 10 different faculty now that include teaching on this in some way in their classes, but our new curriculum, we just went through a curriculum transformation process, and the new vision of it will be that environmental justice is part of all of our core or foundational courses. So that's just a tremendous, tremendous sort of affirmation of the long history of Drew in being concerned on these issues. And I think I'm going to stop there because I just want our team members to be able to say something. Any of you, students? Abby, Diego, you want to talk about what all Tara did?
Diego, are you there?
Yeah, I'll briefly jump in. I'm sick, so I'll keep it short. But I think one of the highlights this semester while Laurel was on leave was our Eco Justice Week, which was a great success. Abby led a beautiful chapel, and Kimberly had a hand throughout. And I think that was a very collaborative project that we all sort of partook together to create a really well-rounded chapel experience that addressed many of the eco-justice issues that we hold important at the Theo School. We had a documentary night that invited other students in. And so I think that was really one of the big highlights this semester. In addition to our growing Theo Garden, Our Theo Garden has been a great success. Anytime that Tara would meet, we'd often have our salads, fresh veggies from the garden. So it was a really sort of a symbiotic relationship between inside and outside. And lastly, the reusable cutlery initiative was a huge success. So much waste is created by plastic utensils and all of the functions that we have on a weekly basis at the seminary. So the reusable cutlery initiative was a great success, and I'll leave it at that, and Abby can jump in.
I think you got all the things that we did. Kimberly,
you might want to tell people what TARA stands for.
Oh yeah, we don't remember what TARA stands for. TARA is the name of the student group. We at one point knew it, and it's in our Facebook group, but I don't know what it is. But I wonder if Sharon or Dr. Jordan have anything they want to add.
Hi, Abby.
Hi.
You guys hear me?
Yes.
Oh, okay, sorry. I'm here just helping out. We have our busy office going on, and Dr. Keller just walked through. So just wanted to kind of get acquainted. This is my first day kind of learning a bit about what the team is doing. And I'm going to read through all the materials, and I look forward to kind of going through this journey with everyone.
That's great. Dr. Jordan.
Is that Kimberly speaking?
Yeah, we can't hear you.
Kimberly, unmute, maybe?
Now it's muted.
Does this help?
No, yes.
Oh.
That's it.
Okay, all right.
Thanks.
So I just wanted to say quickly that I would be interested in maybe having a side conversation with the liturgy folks. I heard Eric Wall's name mentioned, and Dr. Elkins on our side is working on it. So there may be a way that we can gather what we do liturgically, but then also resource each other liturgically.
Excellent.
Absolutely.
That's all.
Great.
Thank you.
Any questions or comments for Drew? I think these 5 teams, Abby, are the dream teams. When I look at these names and hear these voices, there's just so much talent and expertise that they bring to the table and are going to be able to offer to this process. It's really exciting.
Totally.
So now that we've kind of had some introductory time, which we feel is really important, and we're going to get to know each other better in the years ahead, we do want to make sure that we clarify some of the next steps in the certification, in the initial stages, and have a feel for the general overview of the process. So I think the next slide breaks it down into some time frames. Of course, the first stage you've already completed, because that's the application process and the creation of your green team, which is critical. I can't emphasize it enough, the fact that you have put together a green team and you may continue to add members that are representative of your entire community, so that it's not a 1-person or 2-person show, but I really applaud you for the work that you've already done. But the first stage is going to officially begin in July, although there's already work that you've done up to this point. We will be doing a press release through GreenFaith, and we would encourage you to get the word out in your circles through whatever communication means that you have. We have announced this through our Green Seminary Initiative monthly newsletter already, and we want to make sure that we've got from you the photographs that you would like for us to use, and we'll make sure that you have the logos that we would like for you to use. And so we'll make sure that we're communicating in the way that the way we'd like. The energy audits, Laurel mentioned that Drew has already gotten their energy audit done because Colby May, who is our certified energy manager, happened to be in the neighborhood. I think he and his family were in Manhattan, so we appreciate the staff at Drew already scrambling to get that scheduled and to get that audit performed last Friday, and that will be helpful in the coming stages. The registration fee, since we've received some funding that has allowed us to keep the registration fee at $1,500. That will be due to GreenFaith at the end of September. And the comprehensive internal audit, which you should have received a personalized for your school internal audit template that your team will work on in the coming months, and we'll talk more about the specifics of that in a few minutes. And then you should have also received a template or a sample of a governing board resolution that you can put in your language that is meaningful to your community. So you don't have to just make a carbon copy of what we're suggesting to you, but use the sample that we have and put it in language that is meaningful to your community and allow your leadership to sign that and then announce that, celebrate that. So we hope that a deadline of the end of November is a workable deadline to make that happen. Then once the internal audit is done, then you will have done the work that will be helpful for you to start in the development of your action plan, which would be due by Earth Day, April 22nd. We will be available to provide recommendations of mentors in different areas, resources that might be helpful, webinars that might provide you some ideas in the development of your action plan. But that will be your roadmap that you will use then for the remainder of the 3-year process. And then every 6 months or so, we'd like to get a progress report that shows us how you're doing on that action plan work. And then after 3 years, if we start in July 2017, then by July 2020, we will have an opportunity to celebrate, and your school will have achieved a major accomplishment, which we hope will be transformative and lasting, and you will be an example to other schools. And as you continue to find the growing edges where you can continue to go a little bit farther in different focus areas, we'd like to get progress reports from you so that we can share those stories in the years ahead. So that's kind of an overall picture of the next 3 years. But let's go into it a little more detail with the first stage, which includes the comprehensive internal audit. And Abby, you may want to walk us through that a little bit.
Yeah. This is my cat, Mama, and she's joining us for the call. She's a sick cat today, so she needs to be with me. So the first part of the certification, as Sarah mentioned, is doing the self-audit for the institution. And if you have any issues with the Google Doc that you received, please do email us, and we can talk through whatever issues you have. That Google Doc has I think 12 sections divided in between 5 different categories: education, liturgy, ritual, and worship, building and grounds, community life, public leadership. And we recommend that you divide up that audit between the members of your green team, so that each person is working on a section that they feel really confident about, and already know kind of what's happening in your institution in those areas. And some of those questions are really broad, and some of them are really specific. I think there's a question about how many LED light bulbs you have, but there's also questions like, have you done a waste audit, and have you done a water conservation plan, and looked at what are you doing around faculty development in environmental care, and things like that. So it's a pretty comprehensive document, and again, if you have questions about it, we're happy to walk through it with you. And that document and audit is due November 30th of this year. Just to mention some of the best practices, as I mentioned already, to divide them up among your green team so that nobody's doing all of it. It would be a little overwhelming to do it all by yourself. And then if you just at the end go through that, at the end of going through the audit, we'll give you responses to those, to what you've inputted into the document, and then you'll be able to plan what's next steps you need to take. As you're working on the audit, we recommend that you build relationships with new faculty and staff, that you invite alumni into the process as much as possible, and that all of these conversations will allow stories and voices to surface. And this is when I ask you to take lots of pictures during this process. You can only tell so much in this audit, and so I hope that you'll also take photos or think creatively about how you'll capture the information that you get in this audit. We particularly want to share photos that you take throughout this process on our Facebook page and on our website. So please take lots of photos of people doing things in this process. And then Sarah, do you want to talk about the action plan, or do you want me to do that?
Sure. Just just like the internal audit goes hand in hand with the certification standards, you really so does the action plan. And when you after November 30th, when your internal comprehensive audits, which give you a snapshot of how you're doing in each of those 5 focus areas, we will sit down with you by a call and give you some feedback so that then you can develop your action plan. We'll give you an action plan template that basically is pretty simple in the process of, okay, here's a requirement in the certification standards. Do you have it or not? Oh, well, if not, then I guess that might be a good goal to work on. And here are some electives. Which ones, if you need to pick 2 or if you need to pick 3, what are the ones that are achievable, are a stretch for you but are achievable stretches? And those will be how you'll be developing your action plan. But everything is based on the certification program standards. So we'll expect those action plans to be developed by April 22nd. But at the same time, like we've said to some of the schools that are already in this process, it's an organic living document. So things are going to change, and we know that. And so that's why it's so important for us to keep the communication lines open and help each other through whatever bumps in the road there might be or changes that we didn't expect. And so we know that's a reality, and so we can adjust where we need to adjust. But this gives us some good direction and targets together. And like it says there, we do believe that change looks different from one seminary to another. So we're not necessarily going to tell you exactly how to do in a process that might work well in Austin may not work in the same way in Berkeley. So we know that. But we would ask that you do use these shared documents that have been designed for you, because it's really helpful for us to go through it with you in that manner.
So I also want to just underline one thing that Sarah just said around how the process will be different for each seminary, and the outcomes will be different. And the way that self-audit is set up in that Google Doc will allow you to share that document with us, and we'll be able to provide direct and individual feedback to you, and we'll be able to kind of walk through the action plan and standards with you if there are things that really just don't make sense for your context that we can change and be in conversation with you about. And we're really, Sarah and I are both really here to support you on this journey. And as I have begun telling all of our schools, we are your biggest fans and your biggest cheerleaders. So please let us know how we can support you and love on you.
Before we move on, any questions about the internal comprehensive audit or the energy audit, which are two different things?
I just want to say to Laurel how much I appreciate you recognizing the difference from one seminary to another. It was clear in our energy audit there are some things we can now.
Laurel, I think we lost you.
Laurel, we can't hear you.
Really?
I mean, I hear you faintly.
Better?
No?
I don't know.
I heard you earlier.
I know, and nothing's changed. I don't think. If I yell, do you hear me?
Yeah, sort of.
It's not worth it.
Okay, thank you, Laurel.
Anybody else have questions about the internal comprehensive audit? And again, we're not leaving you high and dry. So you may have some questions after we get off this call. We are with you every step of the way. So if you don't already have our email, you'll have it at the end of this call. So as questions come up, we'll take care of them. Okay, let's move on. So those are the 5 focus areas that you're already familiar with. Education has 3 sections, which include spiritual formation. Liturgy, ritual, and worship has 2 sections, which includes worship class and how to incorporate ecological focus in the classroom, as well as the chapel and other rituals. Building and grounds has 5 sections with energy and water and building and grounds and materials. Community life brings in the concepts of what food do we eat on campus and all the questions around that. And communications, how do we communicate this ecological ethos throughout our community? And then finally, public leadership gets you to look at your mission statements and policies and ways that your school can encourage your community in advocacy work and that type of thing. So those are the 5 focus areas that are our compass points. And that's how our standards are organized. And so that's how our internal audit is organized. That's how your action plan is organized. And that's how we'll move forward. So just a recap of some items that we've already addressed, some reminders of some dates to put on your calendar to be aware of. September 30th is when the enrollment fee is due. November 30th is when the internal comprehensive audit that your green teams will work on, that they're due. The governing board resolution, we're hoping that that's a workable date. We understand that boards meet at different times, so let us know if that needs to be adjusted, but we'd like for that to be in the early stages so that that aspect of your community is on board and supportive, and that can be a point of celebration for your community. And whatever first communication steps that we will make in announcing to different outlets and for you to put together whatever communications to your denominational publications, to your alumni publications, and student publications. And then April 22nd, it was going to be April 30th, but that's a boring date. Let's make it Earth Day. So, so that's when we'd like to have the action plans submitted by that time. And just like this call has been a priority for us to get to know each other, we want to continue that and provide ways to foster these relationships within the cohort. And not just within this cohort, but for you to have an opportunity to communicate with other schools that are already in the process. We've got 4 schools that started in the fall: Methodist Theological School in Ohio, Trinity Lutheran Seminary, Proctor in Richmond, Virginia, and Christian Theological Seminary. Those schools are working on the development, kind of finalizing their action plans right now, and we want to provide you some opportunities to meet each other and to share ideas and encourage each other along the way. We've created a Facebook group that we want to revise because right now it says pilot group, and it's going to be, it won't be the pilot group anymore because we're going to add the second cohort in. And that's, we'll be honest with you, it hasn't been taken to its full advantage, and so we don't want to give up on it yet, though. So we're hoping that we might be able to get more people on these green teams as a part of that Facebook group. It's set up as a secret group, so if you've ever wanted to be a part of a secret society, this is your opportunity. But that means that anyone that is a member of the group can invite, I think, other green team members. So you may get some, it may be that Abby or I need to become friends on Facebook, as if we're not already friends, so that we can include you in that group. So we still think that's a good way for us to keep the conversation going. So we're hoping that we may have more success with that. And then more of these conference telephone calls or Zoom video conferences, like Kimberly had mentioned, the suggestion of getting together different worship and liturgy professionals from different schools. That's a great idea. We want to get people together in some of these affinity groups, if you will, so we can make that happen, and that's a great suggestion. A couple of opportunities with professional conferences. We've got a loose grant that has given us an opportunity for us to have some conferences. The next one is going to be at MTSO, Methodist Theological School in Ohio, in Delaware, Ohio. And I believe we have funding to be able to bring one representative from each of your schools to this conference. And October 16th is a Monday. We're hoping that Monday could be an opportunity for the cohorts to meet before the conference actually starts on 17th and 18th. So more on that as the details get more crystallized, but that's something to be aware of. And then, of course, with the annual AAR-SBL conference, this year it's going to be in Boston, Massachusetts, and we always set aside some time to get together anyone that's interested in learning more about Green Seminary Initiative, but we obviously want to make sure that we get the cohort members together to compare notes and learn from each other. So we'll announce that time for any of you that are going to be coming to Boston.
Sarah, can I add one more
Please.
opportunity to connect? So we are in the process of developing a new website for Green Seminary Initiative, and on that website will be a variety of resources for you to use, and you should feel free, and we hope that you will provide us with resources that you have found helpful. But included on that in that resource page will be 5 webinars that we hosted this spring around each of the 5 focus areas, which we hope will support you as you fill out the internal audit and think about your own action plans. One of them was about worship, and of course, because that was one of our 5 focus areas. But we hope that the website will also be a good place for you to connect and get resources from us, and also share your voices as well.
Right. Thanks, Abby. I know that some people had to leave the call already, and we totally get that. We've got a few more minutes. If anyone has any questions, we'll do our best to answer them or get back to you when we have a better answer. Anybody have any questions? About the standards, the audit, the energy audit?
I have a question from Austin.
Great.
On some of these standards, when it says, reducing solid waste generation by 25%, and there was one with energy also. Is that over a specific time, or is it over the life of this cohort? Is it a particular year, and in that we have to do it every year?
We'll work with you on that. It may be that you have been monitoring this already for some time and have a record of ways that you've reduced energy and ways that you've already reduced waste. So we want to help you identify some workable targets, but if you're already down to 0, which in Austin, I know that 0 waste, by the city of Austin, is a goal by 2020, I think. So we need to work with you as far as where you are.
Okay, thank you.
A lot of the standards are set up to be met during the course of the cohort, so in the next 3 years. But as Sarah mentioned, we want to meet you where you are.
Okay. So we can modify it where it makes sense.
So that the question that you asked, Allison, what's the time period? We're thinking strategically about the time of the certification, like this 3-year process, but we mean that flexibly.
Good question. And also, I would ask a question of y'all. I mean, if there are ways that you can think of for us to better facilitate communication within the cohort, like we mentioned, the Facebook group that's had mixed reviews, maybe we can do better. Maybe there's some other methods that you can recommend. So you're learning as you go, we're learning as we go. The strength of this network is what everyone brings to it. So please offer suggestions to us along the way. Well, like we said earlier, this is being recorded, and we're going to share this with each of the members of each green team, for those that were unable to join us, for those that needed to leave early, or for those that has attended but want to hear it again. But our email that is the best way for you to communicate with us is on the screen now, director@greenseminaries.org. That email address reaches both Abby and myself. and we check it daily. So feel free to email us with any questions that you might have after this call, and obviously through the duration of this process. Again, we want to thank you for the commitment that each of you have made to this process, to this program, and to this effort. We know that this is a passion that we all share and feel very deeply at this critical time. And we're grateful to each of you, and you give us hope. So thank you for joining us. Any last words, Abby?
Nope, I was just going to say thank you, and you're all my favorite school.
Bye, everybody.
Bye, everyone.
Bye. Good to see you again, Sarah.